Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Going to talk today about the heavy metal reveal, kind of what that did to that project, dig into a bunch of one-on-one sales. Also going to talk about Captainz, which have been very strong and have some pretty interesting data around that. Let's get right into it, starting with a quick market overview. Volumes were up a small bit. Unique buyers pretty much flat, kind of in the same range that we have been in for the past week or so. Large cap index was up a small bit, had some strength in World of Women, Doodles, Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem, and a 1% move in Captainz. Now, I wanted to dive into Captainz because Captainz have really kind of bucked this bear market trend. It's one of the only projects, it was below 4 ETH middle of February. Right now it's up to about 9 ETH floor, and it's just really been a gradual up move. What I did with this chart was I compared the first 130 days of Captainz with a lot of the projects that were very strong in 2022, Azuki, Clonex, Doodles. You can see it's just been a much more gradual up move than those other projects that really got up to about 15 ETH very quickly. Probably a bit more healthy, kind of what we're seeing here. Now, one of the things that was interesting is in the Discord for Captainz, someone said, want to buy Captainz 8 ETH, 50 Captainz. Now, we see that on blur bids all the time, people bidding for 1,000 of something or 100 of something. But I think what was unique here is that this was a real buyer, someone who went in there, said, I'm not trying to make blur points. I really want to buy 50, and that felt like a longer term holder. So what I wanted to do, this person didn't get hit at 8, but he ended up buying in the open market. And what I wanted to do was look at over the past week, who have been the big Captainz buyers, because this project has had a lot of momentum. And what you see here, and what I do here with this chart is green ones are ones that I think are pretty clean buyers, don't really seem like airdrop farmers or pump and dump traders. Red ones are a little bit probably more likely to be airdrop farmers or pump and dumps. And then the light yellow is unknown. And what you can see is that almost all the big buyers have very clean track records. They didn't buy on bids. They haven't sold a bunch of Captainz in the past month, are probably just buying. And I think that that's one of the first projects where I've actually seen this with. If you look at like Mutant Apes, for example, the biggest buyers here, almost all of them are buying on blur bids. And the ones that aren't have also sold a bunch of mutants over the past few months. The second to last column there is how many mutants have these guys sold over the past few months. Almost all of them have. So it really just feels like they're much more short-term traders in the game. If you do the same chart with Azuki, the big buyers over the past week have all, almost across the board, sold a bunch of Azukis over the past few months. So are really kind of in this trading game. And that really made kind of the Captainz data stand out to me as unique. Moving on, let's look at the mid-cap index. It was up a small bit. A lot of strength in Jack Butcher projects. VV Checks up 20%. Opepin Edition up 21%. Looking at that Opepin chart, we talked about it yesterday. We'll talk about it again soon. But, a lot of these season one, kind of those 81st Opepins have really started selling at premiums. The floor for that is up substantially. People who have access to the one of ones in the future, also that floor is up a lot. So a lot of good things happening in that ecosystem. And then Milady pumped again. Milady is one of the other projects. I mentioned Captainz. Milady is the other project I'd say that just seems to have a lot of kind of unique things going for it. New buyers coming in, and the prices reflect that. In terms of art projects, a bunch of Chromie Squiggle sales, but other than that, no other project did more than 4 ETH of volume. I talked yesterday how no projects did more than 10 ETH of volume. Today, no project, only Chromie Squiggles did more than 4 ETH of volume, but that's cool. I get to talk about some sales that I normally don't talk about. We had this Chromie Squiggle, color spread 13, kind of you have so many unique colors in that squiggle, but then also it's an M shape, and this sold for 14 ETH. There was also a fuzzy, I believe that sold, for somewhere between 10 and 11. But that's a beautiful squiggle. Nice to see that sale. Here you have an a construction token by Jeff Davis, which sold for 3.35 ETH. A Strands of Solitude in the lower left by William Mapan for 1.65 ETH. And then there's a Nimbuds by Brian Brinkman, which sold for 0.8 ETH. So cool to get to show some art that we don't always show on the show. Second thing to talk about, Heavy Metal Reveals. We knew yesterday or 2 days ago, we knew that they were going to reveal. Well, their reveal happened yesterday. Now, after they announced that there was going to be a reveal, the price started to pump. And I'm sitting here thinking, we know that reveals are buy the rumor, sell the news stories, especially when we have so much supply and we're increasingly in a market where, different kind of traits aren't paid up for. Let's see what happened here. Here's Bored Ape saying they've made it through the rift. Heavy Metal Evo 1s are here. The reveal is happening. Here's the art. Some of it looks pretty cool. A lot of it got compared, looks very similar to toys, from 10 or 15 years ago. So that was something that was kind of in kind of the dialogue. And you can see a couple examples of those tweets right here. Now, my general take is that reveals tend to be buy the rumor, sell the news, but I think that's even more the case now, where rarity premiums are just down so sharply. So many NFTs that were kind of in mid rarities across projects have started to be treated like floors, and sure enough, that was what happened. What you can see here, this pink arrow shows the rally that happened when they announced that they were going to be revealing the next day, and that green arrow is what happened after the reveal. A lot of prices really, floor price kind of went from about 1.15, 1.2 all the way down to 0.9 ETH, and right now it's a little bit in that range. There were a couple big sales though that happened. All of these sales happened yesterday. One for 18 ETH, one for 11.7 ETH, and a few like in that 7 and 4.5 ETH range. So here a look at some of the more interesting looking heavy metals that did sell for premiums yesterday. Other things that happened in Otherside, I actually want to just give this update, was that Otherside did say that they've updated a little bit more of their Legends of the Mara game, kind of put more gameplay strategy in it. My view on all of this stuff, for me, it is so hard to understand a game if I'm not playing it as we speak. If I want to learn a game, I got to be playing it. And right now you can't, so we're just getting all these new rules, but I think it's hard to kind of put that into practice or really store that in our heads. Here they talked about the Mara evolution with this graphic. And then this person here on Twitter, Baloo.eth, basically said, he kind of gave his summary, and since I don't understand it, I'm going to give you his summary. He said, Season 1 launches this summer, farm fragments to evolve Mara, battle and defeat the Shattered to receive treasure, global leaderboard with seasonal rewards, coded skip nesting, and our game ready. All right, there you got it. 5 bullet points on it. Let's see what happens. Hopefully, when the game comes out, it's something that we all learn and enjoy. Here's a quick chart for Codas. They've been down ever since they got separated. They've basically been down pretty substantially. Went from about 11 ETH to about 6.5 ETH. Saw a little bit of a rise over the past couple of days, so that's always nice to see. And then lastly, let's talk about a couple notable sales and bids. I said we'll talk about bids just because I had to check this morning at the Jack Butcher Christie's auction. Those pieces are already above 8.5 ETH for all three of them, unique bids on all of them. And we know that auctions always get interesting in the last 6 hours. This one has 6 more days. So this one will be really fun to see how it plays out. Here was a piece called The Muse Vivid Sky by Alpha Centauri Kid, sold for $42,000. This one is a physical print. He did a sale through Christie's. I believe one of them sold for over $100,000. Still a very nice price for him for a physical print. Not really related to the NFT. The buyer here was G-Funk. Here he is saying, I'm legitimately giddy. Had this as well as the piano that he bought. If you haven't checked it out, we had Alpha Centauri Kid on the podcast, published it yesterday. I listened to it again yesterday, and it was a super interesting just to hear all of his thoughts. He's one of the best in the game, has really just built an incredible brand for himself. So I'd encourage listening to that. Next sale to talk about, Where My Vans Go, number 53. This one sold for 14.27 ETH. This project used to have a floor around 50, so it's down a fair bit. But if you look at the most recent sales, the most recent sales have been 11 ETH, 10 ETH. I included this one of the better sales in the past, sold for 70. He's had some up in that range, but the recent ones were at 11 to 10. So it is nice to see one above 14 ETH, a little bit of a rebound in those prices. This piece here called Grant Yun Emeralds sold for 16.5. The buyer, I believe Mittens on Twitter, was basically just interested in getting a Grant Yun 1 of 1, and he went for some of his older look, very different look and feel from his current look. The spaceship does kind of show up in a couple of his in his more recent illustrations and with the more nostalgia feel that kind of unites a lot of his pieces. But cool to see this. Congrats to Mitten on that buy, as well as to Grant and the seller. And then I want to talk about one artist who I haven't talked about before. This piece called Rat Race by Lucho Poletti sold for 6 ETH, one of the higher sales on Super Rare. You can see it's actually a video, and in the video, all these people are kind of like racing towards the Bitcoin, which is in the middle. I wanted to read his biography. This is straight from his biography on his Super Rare page. He said he is highly regarded as a top artist within the Bitcoin community. Lucho has been a full-time crypto artist since late 2017 and focuses on creating propaganda, art, and animation across a wide range of styles, employing these combinations to persuade the public that Bitcoin is better money. So very Bitcoin focused in his work. A few of his other sales you can see here in the 6.7 ETH range. And on the left, those ones look like the PC he sold today. And then a couple other kind of more direct Bitcoin messaging on the ones on the right have had a little bit lower prices, a little bit older, but always interesting to see that. Congrats to Lucho as well as the buyer on this sale. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, give us a like. Push that like button. We appreciate it. Tell us in the comments what you think. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow and every weekday with another show.